Hello, my name's Bonny Ray. I've been attending Northwest Hills for 11 years. I attend here with my husband, Brett, my daughter, Hannah, her husband, Josh, and my son, Austin. A story related to the power of prayer that is a testimony of God's miracles starts with me on a plane. I'm in my 30s. I'm flying to Australia with my husband. It's a 14-hour flight. It's a long flight. And I'm reading the book of Isaiah. And Isaiah is a very powerful book, and I felt as I read that book over that 14 hours that God was speaking to me, that he was going to walk us through a hard time, but he would never leave us. While we were in Australia, we found out we were pregnant. We were overjoyed. Once we returned home, we miscarried. What followed after that was a series of miscarriages. We then got pregnant again and made it through all the major milestones, and went to have an ultrasound later in our pregnancy, and the ultrasound tech looked alarmed and left the room, and then returned with a doctor quite a while later who was a genetic specialist. And he explained to my husband and I that our daughter had an anomaly that was very rare. Only this would be the second documented case in Oregon, and that she could not survive outside of me, only inside of me. So our daughter died at birth. We named her Faith. After that, we prayed probably more than we'd ever prayed in our lives. We sought God's will. We started to ask questions. Should we continue to try to have more children, or should we be a family of 3 and move forward? Should we adopt? In the midst of asking these questions, we learned we were pregnant again. And instead of being overjoyed, we were very scared and very sad. Because of the odds, this anomaly happens 1 in 4 times. And so there was no way to know if this pregnancy would also end with the same outcome. And we weren't sure, honestly, that we could handle it. Our grief was so great after 4 or 5 losses and then a stillborn, our stillborn daughter. And so we, again, prayed, asked our community to pray for us. During that time period of waiting, we couldn't know until the 5th month if the anomaly had occurred again. We went to our ultrasound appointment, and the genetic specialist came in, and he was looking at the ultrasound carefully, and he started to weep. And in that moment, I assumed the worst thing had happened again, that the anomaly had repeated and that we were walking the same path of grief. And so I jumped off the table and I grabbed the back of my hospital gown and I just ran for my life, basically like run so that you don't hear the terrible news. And he ran after me and said, "Wait, Bonnie, wait, God has smiled." He's running through the hospital with me, and he assured me that the anomaly had not occurred. And it was just this beautiful moment of relief and gratefulness to God. And we went back and finished the ultrasound, and sure enough, there was our son, Austin, in the womb. And we were just in awe of the miracle of that and the answer to prayer. We fast forward to August 10th. It's the day that Faith was born. So Faith's birthday, she was born and died on the same day. And I go into labor and go into the hospital on that same day. And I really felt that God was redeeming that day, because it was really the worst day of my life. And now I was going to have my son close to that day. And Austin was born, happy, healthy little boy. And in the hospital the next morning when I woke up, I opened the Bible that was in the drawer next to the bed, and it opened up to Isaiah 61, coming back to the book of Isaiah from the start of the story. And someone had highlighted Isaiah 61, verse 3. It says, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. He has anointed me to preach good news, to bind up the brokenhearted, to bring comfort to those who mourn, to provide for those who grieve, and to bestow on them a crown of beauty for ashes, the oil of gladness instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of despair." And in that moment, I just really felt God's presence as I prayed, and I felt like he was telling me he'd given us a story to share with other people, to witness to his power and his ability to work in impossible situations. So I would just want to leave you with a word of encouragement that if you're going through a time where you don't understand what's happening, just surrender that situation to God, just lay it at his feet and just pray into it and ask other believers to pray for you. And just know that his signature is that he is a God who can mend what is broken and restore what's been lost, and that you can trust that, you can stand on that, and that sometimes even on this side of heaven, you get to see him work a miracle on your behalf.